Gabe Network with my Week 3 discussion for MPA 594 Comprehensive Exam Seminar for Cal Baptist for Dr. Sundstrom's class. And this week's discussion is about a scenario and 3 different themes from the public administration material. So we'll go over that. So my scenario, it's a hypothetical situation about a small, medium-sized police department in anywhere USA has normally had 2 police officers patrolling in a vehicle, but due to growing size of the community and budget constraints, they're going to switch to only utilizing 1 police officer per vehicle so that they can have more officers out in the field instead of having them confined to a vehicle. There will be obviously twice as many vehicles out on patrol. And again, this is more for a financial reason for this scenario. The 3 themes that I'm going to talk about are efficiency, communication, and motivation. The first theme is efficiency, and obviously we've got Taylor and Follett here. The reason Taylor's here is because he talks about, obviously, scientific management, but he talks about how his idea of scientific management brings about this, how harmony is more of the rule. It's not just kind of a free flow, people doing whatever they want. It's more of there's rules, and that's why things are moving efficiently. People know where they need to be, and everything just kind of works together. Again, if you have that factory mindset, like in the picture there, if you think factory, just kind of you think efficiency. One con for scientific management has always been that it's impersonal. It just kind of brings people down to just how quickly things can get done. So obviously, in the sense of this this scenario, it's not necessarily the most efficient thing, but Taylor's idea of efficiency is also brings out this idea of equal division of work. So if you're splitting up 2 officers who usually are patrolling in 1 vehicle, you're expecting both of them to be efficient separately, as efficient as they would have been if they were together. So if you've got 2 efficient officers in the field, you should get more things done in the community on any given shift. GULIC obviously is POST-CORBed, horrible acronymed name there. Some points that I want to bring out of POST-CORBed specifically are his idea of directing. So this more relates to managers, lieutenants, police chiefs, whoever's making the decisions for what's going on. So the first one, directing, it's this idea of making decisions. So the higher ups have already decided that it's going to be more efficient and save money if they have the officers split between 2 different vehicles. Coordinating, it's this idea of this, it's interrelating to all of the parts of the department. So you're not so much splitting up the officers as much as just utilizing your resources better. And obviously budgeting, the whole idea for this scenario is to save money by having more people in the field to serve the growing community. Finally, for efficiency, obviously Mary Parker Follett, she her main idea here is the people need to work well under the circumstances under which that they're given, and people don't want to be bossed around. So when this idea comes out into the scenario, they need to be kind of shown why this is better, why it's better for the community, why it's better for the department, things like that. And Mary Parker Follett even said that scientific management, the managers or whoever's in charge are as much under orders as the workers. So if a manager has to tell, or a lieutenant, police chief has to tell a police officer what to do, they're obviously having to be constrained by these same rules. The other theory here for communication is, obviously we're going to bring back GULIC's POST-CORBed, and because the communication of this whole scenario comes from the managers and the lieutenants. They need to, again, bring out this idea of coordinating the work and coordinating how this rollout would take place. They need to provide direction. They need to define the whole work unit and establish the structure of how things are going to look for the department if the officers are split between two vehicles. The other theory here is from Chester Barnard, and he talks more about the management and their role. And he states in his article how an organization's logical, and obviously if you're looking at something like that in a police department, you know who's in charge and who's following orders and who's giving the orders. So Chester Barnard would focus on the communication and how that communication has to come from the reliable authority figure. The final theme here is motivation. The first motivation is going to come from Maslow. Obviously, somebody in a work environment might not necessarily need to have their physiological needs, but if an officer is told that they've been used to patrolling with another officer, it might start infringing on their safety. So motivating them that they'll still be safe, there'll still be people out helping them in the field is important. But another important thing that Maslow talks about is the esteem and how that leads to self-confidence and strength for the people. So if you have an officer who doesn't feel that they have that self-confidence or that self-worth, then they're never going to get to that final step, according to Maslow. Also closely related to Maslow, McGregor here with his theory X and theory Y, he talks a lot about Maslow's hierarchy, but if you've got a lieutenant and they're telling their officers what's going to happen, and they've got what they assume are theory X employees and theory Y employees, they're going to relate to them differently, and the lieutenants need to obviously have that nicer kind of view of people, the theory Y view, where instead of people needing to be persuaded to do things, they're going to be easier to work along with. But I also found it interesting how even though McGregor had these theories that were closely aligned with Maslow, he spoke against scientific management in a sense, how it limited the job so much that it discouraged workers or employees from taking their own responsibility. And obviously, again, going back to Mary Parker Follett, motivation of employees, it's the whole work with, not work over sort of idea. So that's about it. Also, quickly, just touching on Lindblom here about muddling through. If a new theory or something or a new work structure is going to be put in place, you don't want to start at the root of the problem. If you already have a structure in place, you have to just focus on the branch and take small steps to make changes. You're not going to go through and completely rewrite the structure of the whole police department just because you're switching to having one officer per vehicle. So you're going to make those small incremental changes that Lindblom talks about. So sorry, that was a little wordy, but thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you have a great week.